Hey, welcome to a chilly Tuesday morning. The wind is blowing and it is reminding us that winter can still come back in the midst of spring. Oh, whatever it is. Glad you're here today. Take a moment. Let's warm up a little bit. Grab your cup of coffee. Come on in and share my little world with me for just a little while. You know, I can almost hear my mother's voice. It's in the back of my mind. When she would say to me, "Boy, if you think that I am born to be your servant, you've got another thing coming." It was usually just about the time she was trying to make me work, do something, some housework or something. And she told me more than once that boys' hands can do the same thing girls' hands can do around the housework and so forth. Anyway, of course, today I'm glad she taught me a few of those things. Kind of beneficial. Not that I do them necessarily, but I know how for sure. Oh, doesn't hurt to wash a few dishes now and then, does it? Anyway, I was thinking about that and the times in which we live. It's so easy to go to the fast food restaurant or another restaurant where you sit down and the meal is brought to you. And you have expectations somebody's going to take care of all the business for you. In fact, you don't even really have to clean up the trash much afterwards. No dishes to wash and nothing like that. I think we're missing something in our times. In fact, I think it's become the common thing in our congregation in particular. Well, people still fix up food and take it to others once in a while. It's much easier to buy them some food from a restaurant, and I know that way they can get what they want and they're not subject to eating somebody's leftover casserole. Oh, we wouldn't do that, but you know what I mean. Because you fix food and you don't even know if that's really what they want to eat, and sometimes there's too much or too little or whatever it is. I'm not making excuses, but we do live in a different time where we measure our convenience pretty well. We like others to take care of business for us. Now, I think most of us, we're accustomed to doing work. We're accustomed to taking care of ourselves, cleaning up our messes and such as that. But we have come quite a ways in recent days, and I think we kind of have an expectation of service, of people to take care of us, to do things for us, to have things prepared for us. I thought about that sometimes, even when we come together as a church and worship. We want to make sure that everything is there for us, and if it's not exactly right, we're pretty good at letting somebody know things weren't right today. Too hot, too cold, too bright, too dark. It was dirty. Well, whatever. You know what I mean. I'm kind of making fun and being a little bit facetious about it, maybe exaggerating just a little bit. But I was thinking about that event in John 13. That may not ring a bell with you, but it ought to remind you that even Jesus knew what it was to serve. Verse 3 of John 13 and following says, "Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands and that he had come from God and was going back to God, rose from the supper. He laid aside his outer garments and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him." Jesus was the leader of the group. Jesus was the rabbi, the teacher. He was the most important person there. He was the one that people around him typically served. He wasn't expected to wash the feet. He wasn't expected to take care of preparing the meal or anything. And in this case, of course, he didn't. But for him to lower himself in the way and wash his disciples' feet, if you read on in the story, Jesus basically says, as I've done for you, you follow that example and do for others. It's a great piece of instruction. When I try to apply it to our times, it comes down to how we take care of one another. I know maybe we don't have to go and prepare the food and take it to somebody's house or something like that. I don't know that that's the answer necessarily. But it's recognizing the need and making nothing beneath what you would do. Say, well, I don't do that kind of thing. I figure out a way to get it done. When I think about Jesus washing those dirty feet, I wonder what should I be too good to do? Can't think of a thing. You know, it's all right to be that servant, for the best thing in the world is to be the servant of others. I was at the Y the other day at the gym, and the fellow that cleans up after all the messy men in the locker rooms and so forth came over and was talking to me for a little while. Really nice fella. Don't really know how old he is or anything. Doesn't seem to be very old, especially. I don't mean he's an old man. Several years, probably quite a few years younger than me. Maybe old enough to be one of my kids. But anyway, he stopped and talked to me for a little while, and before I walked out, we had exchanged names. And I said, I want to tell you something. I said, I really appreciate that you clean up after all us messy guys in here, because guys throw towels and washcloths and leave stuff around. They don't clean up after themselves very well. And he smiled and he said, well, I guess it's kind of job security, but I said, glad to do it, glad to do it. I appreciate somebody who's willing to do the lowlier tasks in life. I think you do too. So think about it. Maybe there's somebody for whom you can prepare a meal. Whether you buy it or cook it or whatever you do. Maybe there are some figurative feet to wash out there. Now's the time to think about it. Somebody might just be blessed, benefited. And I know you and I would if we take the time, as I said, to figuratively or maybe even literally wash the feet. Jesus did it. We can too. Hey, thanks for being with me today. I hope this is a great day for you, even if it's a little bit chilly and wind blowing out there. Enjoy the day. Hey, if you're part of the Southern Ridge group, check your bulletins for some of the sick. Bill Sherman sent out some emails that call our attention to some people and events and some of the things going on. Let's keep track of one another as best we can, and that goes for all of us. All right? Have a great day, and I'll see you again and again. Thanks for being with me.